Hey guys, been wanting to share this content for a while, especially in the space of the internet, where a ton of people are researching about what they can do to prevent or avoid getting stretch marks, or if they have stretch marks, how they can remove them, what creams, oils are the best to, diminish them, all of that stuff. Obviously, when I first got into camouflage tattooing, I also did a ton of research on the internet, looked at forums, Googled stretch mark solutions, just to get really familiar with stretch marks and educate myself on anything that was out there. And what I realized when I was researching the internet and browsing is that there wasn't a lot of positive information about how to even begin to learn and embrace and accept your stretch marks, which is really surprising because there are so many men and women who have stretch marks. And yes, you are more prone to them if you have not a lot of elasticity. It could also be genetics and a few other reasons, right? But the point is that there are a lot of people in the world who have stretch marks and they struggle with them. And I wanted to do this interview with my good friend, Rona Recker, who I'll be sharing more about in this particular interview. Basically because she provides so much wisdom and just a really unique perspective on stretch marks. And because there's not a lot of things that you can do to avoid getting them, and then if you do have them, there's really not a lot of options on what you can do for them. And so I wanted to just really put my voice out there because I think if we can begin to learn to accept and embrace our stretch marks, our whole world changes by how we feel, in our own skin, how we look at ourselves, and even begin to have compassion for other people who have them, because it does seem to be a subject that not a lot of people talk about. And so I hope you enjoyed this interview. I also did a blog interview with Rona, which really goes into more depth than this video does. But if you enjoyed this video, I would highly suggest you go back to the blog and read the full interview with Rona, because she gives so many great examples that will really help shift your perspective if you have stretch marks. And so I hope you enjoy. So there's just not a lot of information out there to really help people learn how to embrace and accept their stretch marks. And so I think you will be able to really share some valuable information and a little bit about you. So I'll go ahead and introduce who you are. So you're a vibrational alignment practitioner at the Center for Intuitive Education. The Center for Intuitive Education is an online curriculum that really helps people dig deeper into their own spirit. You can call it personal development, professional development. It really is a great company that supports people in their self-growth in many areas of their life. And that's actually where me and you, or I met you. But can you explain to the viewers just a little bit more about what the center is, what a vibrational alignment practitioner does, and how you go about that? I know in the blog you mentioned you gave the example of the symphony, and so I would really love to hear that. I hear you share that on video too.
I don't even remember what I said. I'll see if it comes back to me. So as a vibrational alignment practitioner, what I do is people often wonder why they can't create something in their lives, why they have patterns continue to come up, why they're in pain, why they have emotions, why they have depression, anxiety, anything that doesn't feel good to them. And so the courses actually help people to align back to their true intuitive self, their true inner spirit, what's right for them. A lot of times we do things that are not authentic for us, and we start living that way. As children, we're very authentic, and it kind of gets taught out of us. So the courses actually help people clear everything that has happened in life so that they can really click in to their true selves, create the lives that they really want. And so basically what I do is I notice any chinks in the armor. is what I notice. And any place where it's not vibrating to create what you're really longing to create. A lot of times our mind wants something and like our spirit doesn't quite get behind it. So, if a child sees a cake and wants that whole cake, it's not necessarily great to eat the whole cake. But so sometimes the desires don't match with the authentic part of you. And so what I do is I basically scan you, and then I just help you come into a vibration where you feel aligned in your spirit, in your mind, in your body, so that then you can go out into the world and create what you really truly desire from your heart.
Right. And I actually have had many sessions with you. And what I really love about you is I'll go into a session with you not really knowing what is necessarily off, except that maybe I just know that my energy isn't really high, or there's a lot of things on my mind. And with you, I'll come in and you'll start working on my body, like you do your body scan, and you will pick up on the tiniest things. Like all of a sudden you'll touch me and I'll be like, oh my God, that's, that there's a trigger point there, or I feel pressure in that certain spot. And then what I really love about you is not only do you help clear that, so you help me to physically feel better and lighter. Like I always feel so much better after a session with you, but you go much deeper than that too. So you'll pick up something within my body that maybe I'm not even aware of. And then you'll ask me questions like, hey, what's going on with your family? Or what's on your mind about X, Y, and Z? And so, I just love how you do that, and you're so in tune to that. And I just want to share that with other people who might not necessarily get what it is or how a session looks like with you, but that's kind of how you work, and it's unique to everyone. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, so sometimes I'll do work physically on a person, and sometimes I don't have to at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it really just depends, because everybody can, if I say, think about your forehead and see if you can feel your forehead, people will start putting emphasis there, and they actually can clear themselves. And so I can help direct and guide people how to clear those even without touching them.
Love it. Also, you mentioned that, energy, emotions, our thoughts are transferable. And an example is you can walk into a home and it can feel a bit rigid, cold, empty, and you can walk into another home that feels really warm, lighthearted. When it comes to stretch marks, for example, how, in the blog I mentioned Louise Hayes, which is, she was a famous author, book publisher, especially in the personal development field. And she created a book called Heal Your Body, which is a reference guide of the probable physical, emotional things that are happening within us and the probable cause to that. Can you kind of explain your theory on how our emotions and thought patterns and stuff manifest physically in our body?
Sure. So technically, stretch marks, there's nothing wrong with them. How you perceive them, it can greatly affect you. And it's like if you come into this world and you have eyes and they're a certain distance apart, there's not really a lot you can do about moving your eyes, but you can use it. You can use makeup to enhance, or lighting, or angles. So there's different things you can do to enhance who you are and what you have on your body. So people will get scars and they'll have the scars. And what I notice is people tend to like scars better than stretch marks. And so where did you learn that from? Where did you learn that stretch marks were bad? Because if you think about it, when you start to grow up and your body starts to become the person you're becoming and you get stretch marks, why is that a bad thing to become your true self? Or if you're pregnant and you have a baby and you get stretch marks that way, why is it a bad thing to have stretch marks bringing a child into the world? Or even if you go through weight loss or weight gain, why is that a bad thing? And so the perception is very important. And so the stretch mark camouflage, I see just, we use makeup to enhance. And so you use it to enhance something and you feel better about yourself and you like it. I like when I put makeup on and my eyes look bigger and they're shiny, or I enjoy that. I enjoy looking at that. When we start to worry what other people think, it starts to erode our own self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea of perfection gets in the way of what is truly underneath a stretch mark.
Right.
And so with stretch marks, if they're bothering you, because sometimes they don't bother a person at all.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, then, in the blog, I put different ages that they can come on and different reasons. And I put a bunch of things in there. So if you can read the blog, that would be great, because they get more specific. But in general, if stretch marks are bothering you, they're really showing you something. They're like, hey, look at this. So one of the examples I used in the blog was me growing up, and I went through puberty. And so my breasts got bigger and I had stretch marks on my breasts. And I look back and I was embarrassed of it. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want people to notice. And so I didn't like myself in that area. Then as I got older and I became the form that I am, I could appreciate the beauty. And so now they don't bother me, but they're an indication of how I felt at the time. And so you want to look at what was going on at the time you got the stretch marks. If you're losing weight and, you're doing really great things, do you still hate your body? Do you still not like it? Are you not appreciating what it does for you every day? Do you need a constant reminder to not eat again? Because sometimes we use them as a reminder. Sometimes we use them as a pain point and so really, if they're telling you something, because I always believe the body tells you something, and what are they telling you that's supposed to help you move forward?
Right. So that brings up a good point, because I know, when I do my consultations with clients, a lot of them have gained stretch marks from pregnancy. And, I know they love their kids and they love being a mom. But can you share a little bit more about what you shared on the blog in regards to pregnancy? Because I think some of those questions that you asked for people to kind of, self-reflect on is really important during their journey through pregnancy, or even just learning how to accept the stretch marks that they gained from pregnancy.
So on a physical level, the elasticity of your skin, the nutrients, all of that, they play a part for sure. On an emotional level, how was your pregnancy? How were your feelings with your partner? Did you feel nourished by your partner? Was your partner present? Did you feel connected with your partner? Did you feel connected with your baby? Did you feel your baby inside of you? Could you feel their soul? Could you connect with them?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really matter if you do or you don't. It's the judgment you put on it. So if you're like, wow, I can't feel my baby. I can't, is it a he? Is it a she? I don't know. I just feel my body's different. If you make that bad, other than, we haven't connected yet. So there's a different perception that you would have, but we take something and we always twist it. And often we twist it to not be a good thing for us. Or if our partner isn't present, if we wanted them to be more or wanted them to do more, it's really an indication of how to build your relationship with your partner or how to build the relationship with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes having those stretch marks is like a trophy for some people. Like, yeah, I did this.
Right.
This was wonderful. Sometimes having children is such a big decision, and it changes your entire life. And so they represent the changes in your life. If you've ever heard of like palm reading, they can see the lines on your skin. Just like if you laugh a lot, you get wrinkles because they're laugh lines. So you can tell someone who's had a lot of joy in their life by their wrinkles and where they're at, or smile lines.
Right.
So stretch marks are that as well. Like, wow, this was where my baby was. But if you're looking at the stretch marks and you're reading it like a palm reader, are you looking at the journey as a beautiful journey, or, wow, my life is different. I don't know how to adapt to these changes with a child.
Right.
Am I going to be a good mother? What's going to happen? Oh my gosh, this is forever. This is a decision that is forever.
Right. Now, what if someone looks back at their stretch marks during that that circumstance or scenario, right? Let's say they weren't, when they look back at their pregnancy, they weren't connected to their partner. Um, Obviously, it doesn't do any good use for them to feel guilty about it now, right? So it's like, what kind of, like, how can they move past that? Instead of feeling guilty about, wow, that makes sense. That was a really stressful period in my life. I was, my partner, or whoever, wasn't very involved. And, how can we help them right now? Because they already had the stretch marks, they've already experienced that kind of pregnancy. What would you say to that?
So if you think of a 2-year-old who has a temper tantrum, we were all that 2-year-old. We don't look at ourselves at 2 and go, my gosh, why did I have this temper tantrum? We don't make it bad that was the space we were in at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're looking back at something and you're more conscious now, that's why you're able to look back and see it in a broader view and go, wow, I really did the best I could. I didn't have that. That wasn't a priority. I was worried about my health. I was worried about money. There were other things that were a priority. And my relationship is a priority. And so now I'm going to make it. But we feel like we've lost time. We've ruined something because of these consequences. And so what if the consequences, how can we embrace them and really honor them? Because if you have a child that comes in with a disability, do you hate that child? No. So why would you do that to yourself? Why would you look back on a time when you might have made different decisions looking back now in who you are now? We're always changing. You're a different person. Back then, you really did your best.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like now?
Got it. Okay, I love that. For people who are looking at this interview and they don't have stretch marks, and they do plan on getting pregnant, or whatever the case may be, or they're afraid of getting them, is there anything that you can really do to avoid getting stretch marks?
So you can do the physical things, the oil, the rub, the massaging. You can do yoga and stretching to help with the elasticity of your skin. So those are physical things.
Mm-hmm.
But also when a child comes in, it's like a miracle. And that comes from spirit, this very beautiful place. And what happens is our mind goes, oh my gosh, I worked so hard on this body, and I've worked out. I'm like, what if it's going to change my body, make my hips wider, my feet are bigger?
Mm-hmm.
And we think of then the body changes. And so you really have to go back to the spiritual miracle of, wow, I'm a part of this human being. I'm a part of bringing this essence into the world. And that actually, is that a higher priority for me, this child, this human being, this essence, than a stretch mark here or there? So that way you're not afraid of stretch marks, because a lot of times when we're afraid of something, we create it.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get hemorrhoids.
Right.
and so you don't want to push away. You go, okay, this is a possibility and this is a possibility. Just like you'd have the possibility of, oh, I'm having one child or I'm having twins. There's possibilities. I'm going to have a boy or a girl.
Right.
If we cannot make that bad, then we can embrace it in a different way.
Right. I love that. What do you find most beautiful about stretch marks?
So I like scars. I like stretch marks. Like they don't bother me. What they tell me is resilience. They tell me this person has gone through something really important, really big for them. And that's what it tells me. Just like the wrinkles in the eyes, like, wow, this person has laughed a lot. This person, I admire their journey.
I know that reminds me when we talked about in the blog, that there is a standard of beauty that society holds, right? Like advertising, marketing. There is a standard to what society would deem as attractive and being perfect, and what we should all strive and aim to be. Obviously, we read about it, we hear about it all the time, that it's someone else's standard. But how do we like, how can you help someone really own that though? Because
Right.
we know the truth of it, but it still gets to us. I mean, we all have good days and bad days, and we all feel self-conscious at times. And it's like in those moments, what can we do to really help shift that so that we don't spiral into the comparison trap of not feeling like we're even close to that standard?
Yeah. So the comparison is really what kills us. Anytime we compare, if you don't take that comparison to build yourself up, it's going to break you down. So if you see someone and they're just beautiful, chances are you're probably not ever going to be that beautiful. Like, if you're seeing someone that beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at, what do I find beautiful about them? Wow, I love how they take care of their skin, or I love that they work out, or I love that they're just confident, or I love their style. So you take the essence of what's truly beautiful, what you're seeing that is beautiful about them, and
Mm-hmm.
go, okay, what do I want to do for me with this? And so comparisons, like guilt is supposed to just be a moment and then you can move forward. It's supposed to be that indicator of like, oops, something's a little imbalanced for me. Comparing is the same way. When you notice it, it's really showing you something your soul wants, not necessarily your humanity. Because really, people would want to be more confident than
Mm-hmm.
they are beautiful. And
Right.
I always tell myself, I'm like, well, when I'm 90 and I'm with my husband, like, how beautiful is my skin going to be? It's going to be wrinkled, like it's going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And where is the beauty coming from? And that is the most vital part, is where is your beauty coming from? And if it doesn't come internally, then if you've ever noticed, like, you can be with the most beautiful person and they don't seem beautiful to you.
Mm-hmm.
And because the beauty just doesn't last. It's a human thing. It's like a meal. You can have a meal, but then you have to prepare another one. And so the internal beauty for everybody, it's like, what is your internal beauty? And what is that people are going to see?
Right. Um, Rona, if someone is interested in booking a consultation with you, I know that you offer virtual consultations as well, or virtual sessions. Where else can they find you? Where can they follow you? Because you've just shared a ton of great information about the topic of stretch marks, but I've known you, for over 5 years, and I know that you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to a lot of things: stress, anxiety, judgment, like everything you could think of. And so where can someone find you? It doesn't matter that they're not in Arizona. How can they book with you? If you can just share that information.
Sure. There's a few places. The Center for Intuitive Development.org is the website.
Mm-hmm.
People can book sessions with me and the owner, which is really like a double
Yeah.
power thing that's very cool, that I highly recommend. Taking the courses is so important. It really gets you back into your center, to where you trust yourself and your own intuition, and you don't have to rely on somebody else. You get yourself back, your confidence, everything. So I definitely recommend the courses. And I do some private sessions. I don't do as many as I used to, but I have some meditations that are on our website. And I do a personal Instagram that is Vibrational Alignment Rona, Practitioner Rona. I don't know, just look for, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'll include it in this video.
Yeah, and it's just a few things here and there to help people if you want to find me.
Yeah, I love that. Anything else you want to share?
So I think that, with you doing the uh, camouflage for stretch marks,
Mm-hmm.
I want people to think of it as a very beautiful enhancement. Like, wow, I'd like this.
Right.
And really get in tune, because I look at makeup and I'm like, okay, what do I want to enhance on me? I want to enhance my eyes, or I want to enhance whatever. And so if your stretch marks, what do you want to enhance? And so it's like, wow, I want to enhance my body tone or my skin color, or I want to enhance people seeing beauty in me. And when we're insecure about something, sometimes we need a little help.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you're thirsty, sometimes you need water. So you don't make it wrong that you want enhancements, because they're helpful.
I actually really love that. So there's a huge difference between wanting to enhance versus cover, right? Like cover up and make it disappear or remove.
Mhm.
And and I love that example that you gave because like your eyes, you can't cover up your eyes. You can't remove them. But you can definitely enhance them, bring out the beauty in them. And so I would love, for clients who are even considering doing the stretch mark camouflage tattoo is hopefully they can be in a place where they're not trying to just remove them or cover them because I cannot remove them, but rather of taking their power back in um, wanting to enhance them or bring the beauty and acceptance in from within.
Yeah, because when a person needs it something to be gone, you're really not clearing why you're uncomfortable with the stretch marks in the first place.
Right,
So there is nothing anybody can do to
right.
help.
Yeah,
And so,
even if you get a tattoo to somewhat make them less noticeable, you're still pretty vulnerable to comparisons and still not feeling like you're meeting someone else's standard of beauty, you know.
right. And what I love about you is the experience of you because you are so amazing in that you find the beauty and the essence in a person. And so I think when they come to you, they're not just getting the camouflage, they're getting healing and beauty and confidence. And I love that. And I love that experience with you myself.
Thank you, Rana.
Hmm.
Well, this is, the end of our interview, but I just wanted to let everyone know that Rana shares some amazing, amazing examples. There's a lot more content in the blog, which I'll, include the link to if you really want to dive into this interview further. I actually did the blog interview with her first before we came on video. And so definitely check it out. And Rana, thank you so much for taking the time out today to just share the essence of you and your wisdom. And I'll be sharing, make it really easy for them to follow you as well. And yeah, thank you so much. I love you, and I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you doing
I love you too. All
this.
right.